Hello and welcome to my new video. Today I'm going to be going over the work I've done so far. I've made 3 works, 3 PDFs, 3 Word documents. I'm just going to go over them and just give a casual chat on what I've worked on. So yeah, let's get started. I'll start with this. I love this quote. The day science has studied non-physical phenomena will make more progress in 1 decade than all previous centuries of its existence. I believe that's true. I think we're in the cusp of a paradigm shift of consciousness and humanity, of spiritual evolution and scientific revolution. I really do think we're going to make more progress in 1 decade. I think we're going to make 1,000 years of progress in the next coming decades. I truly believe that. I don't really like that quote, so let's carry on. Okay, well, this chapter is just a bit of an introduction to sign off. First of all, we live in an idealistic metaphysics. The materialistic paradigm is flawed, fundamentally. The hard problem of consciousness is just irreducible in the materialistic paradigm. I think that's the fundamental argument. The hard problem of consciousness is irreducible. The world is made out of consciousness. Matter is just conscious vibrating at a really low frequency. That's why it feels so dense. I see it as a symphony of consciousness, of different frequencies of consciousness. Consciousness vibrates at different frequencies. And similar frequencies of consciousness resonantly attract each other. And that's because similar frequencies of consciousness have similar phases. And similar phases constructed interfere. So the phases constructed interfere, the similar frequencies of consciousness resonantly attract each other. Okay. This explains a lot of stuff. It's really paradigm shifting, I think. It explains a lot of stuff. Next also, if you understand the secrets, think in terms of energy, frequency, vibration. I like that quote too. Nikola Tesla was onto something. I think we need to learn from Nikola Tesla. Now, high and low frequencies are not defined on a linear scale. And I don't totally know what that means, but I know from watching ND reports and channel materials that things aren't linear. There's multidimensional and non-linear. High frequencies are close to God or source, and low frequencies are far away from source or God. I think that's how we define high and low frequencies. But you know what high frequencies? Laughter and joy are high frequencies, and fear and hate are low frequencies. But also something like, that's fine examples of other things, but rape is a low frequency. But helping someone with helping hands is a high frequency consciousness. A smile is a high frequency consciousness, a frown is a low frequency consciousness. Body language, everything's a frequency consciousness, everything. This is paradigm shifting work because everything's a frequency consciousness. The old materialistic paradigm is dead. We need to leave it alone. It's dead. We need to it's fucked. We need to leave that alone. Alright. Now, what else? This law of similar frequency consciousness vibration is known as the law of attraction. Now it's known as the law of attraction because you manifest things into life. If you vibrate, it's because speaking things into existence. If you vibrate at a certain frequency, if you say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get 3 stars in my levels, and you put in the work and you do it, you vibrate that similar frequency, saying I'm going to get 3 stars in my levels, but you'll get 3 stars in your levels because you vibrate into existence. If you put the work in, if you put the action in to do it, even if you don't, it makes it much more likely. Okay.
From God.
Our next chapter is dynamics of synchronicity and forming nature. Now, synchronicity, I think, is how physics works in idealistic physics. I really do think that. Synchronicity is when seemingly acausal events are meaningfully related. So maybe I heard this one story where my mum, she was reading an angel book and a white feather dropped from the sky. It's because of her reading the angel book and the feather vibrates similar frequencies, and so the meaning of it to her, it often meaningless to other people. It's very hard to explain synchronicity. It's very hard to explain synchronicity because it's very personal, it's very meaningful to you, but many people have experienced it, and it's a real thing. I think we can really do scientific studies, it's not been done yet, but I think we can really do scientific studies of synchronicity, engineer it. That's the plan anyway. I say it's mechanism first explain the meaningful parts, kind of tarot card readings and the frequencies, tarot card readings and tea leaf readings. It's because meaningful events, 2 frequencies of conscious vibrate resonance. The mind of the person being read, and the readings on the tarot cards vibrate resonance. That's why the cards are random. There's no physical explanation to why meaningful events can come out of tarot card readings, but they do often. I've had experiences with this. Another thing is that forming nature was described as there's a pulsion and retraction from high and low frequencies. High frequencies attract and low frequencies repulse. You might see this in a flock of birds who stay together, and I've seen in places I've been, there's spikes on walls and buildings to deter birds. I imagine the birds are physically magnetically repulsed from those spikes because they vibrate at a low frequency. They vibrate at fear and death and pain, so they magnetically repulsed from it. Like I said, matter is a really low frequency consciousness, and gravity, in fact, is a resonant attraction of similar frequency consciousness of low vibrating frequency consciousness, which is matter. Matter is very dense. It's not as high frequency consciousness vibrate at a very low density, and for a low frequency very high density. Matter is very high density. It's very low frequency consciousness. Nothing wrong with it necessarily. It's not even dead matter. It's alive. It's made of consciousness. Okay.
T.
Right, now we're going to intention and attention. Now what I wrote here was not the most I could write about attention. You could write a whole book on intention and attention. What can I say about attention? Attention breaks down the infinite complexity of the finite set we out for. I think we have a hierarchy of attention, and we must live in a hierarchy set of attention. And that is an ethic limit. I got this from Jordan Peterson, but it's very complex. But fundamentally, the world is just too complicated to perceive it all. You cannot perceive the whole world. It's too complicated. It's a combinational explosion. You just cannot perceive the whole world. So you have to account. You have to only take into account certain things. Okay. I can write a whole book on attention. I've not really figured it out, but I'm working on it. Give it some time. Now, intention, I can say a lot about. Intention vibrates at different frequencies. So you have an intentional frequency. And what prayer is a high vibrational intentional frequency. And how prayer works is that someone vibrates in resonance with that high vibration, high intentional frequency. So if you intend someone to get well soon, you say get well soon to someone who's ill, they will vibrate in resonance with that frequency. And such they may well get better soon. Prayer really works. There's been studies doing this. Prayer really works. I think I pray all the time. It's really good for you, mind, body and spirit. I think you really help people by praying. Even just saying get well soon or thank you. Gratitude is prayer. Because it's an intentional frequency. And what is a tendency to vibrate in resonance with that intentional frequency, which is the mechanism of prayer. Okay, now to love, light, and the good, beautiful, and the true. Now I haven't really figured this out because light is something very complicated. Light is related to electromagnetism. I have not figured this out fully, but I'm working on it. But I think what I figured out is that light is what happens when you vibrate with the good, true, and beautiful. I play it up, so I play the good, true, and beautiful all the time. But you give off light when you vibrate with the good. So if you do some good, true, beautiful, and good things, maybe like a prayer, true, something that you tell the truth and it's not easy to. And the beautiful is when you make a piece of art, or you do a bit of scientific work, or you buy some flowers, or whatever. Something good. Now light vibrates different frequencies, and this is the electromagnetic spectrum. Now I haven't fully figured this out, but light vibrates different frequencies. Light is a frequency consciousness. Light is related to electromagnetism, and that is light. The frequency is the electromagnetic spectrum. But in other ways, light is what is magnetic attracted to, like a tree goes to sunlight. A tree goes to sunlight because it's literally magnetic attracted to it. It's why you in ND reports they say they see source or God as a light, and they feel just magnetically attracted to it because it's so bright. It's like all they want to do is get close to it. Now, love on the other hand is what the universe is made out of. Now, I did say the universe is made out of consciousness. I'm not fully figured this out, but love is fundamental. You see this in ND reports all the time. They say love is what the universe is made out of. It's made out of love. It's what the universe is made out of. Love intentions could ripple throughout creation are so powerful as each being's entire ocean of soul and drop. Now, there's also the concept of Indra's net, where every soul, like every Atman, is a branch and a node in a network. But what I argue is that the whole net is contained within one node, because there is no separation at all between beings, between souls. No separation at all. And that's why love is so powerful. And also I think it's a throwaway line, but I think it's quite profound. The vacuum energy is compassion, understanding, or divinity in the miracle of creation. I think we can really tap into that. I think we vibrate in resonance with this divinity. And you can make vacuum power crafts, the 0 point energy crafts, or the vacuum energy. I really do believe that. So I think that's something we'll be working on in the future. Now, evidence. I like this chapter to me. Because this just... I've got some more evidence. So I've got a few pieces of evidence. Synchronicity is one. Because similar frequency conscious vibrant resonance. The similar frequency consciousness of, say, in Jung's work, he has a story where one of his patients has a story of a scarab in a dream, and they see a big brown beetle, big gold beetle on the window, and Jung says that's your beetle, that's your scarab. And that's an example of synchronicity, because those similar frequency conscious vibrant resonance. The scarab and the dream vibrate similar frequencies, such that they resonantly attract to each other. And that's synchronicity. Another one is manifestation, I went before. That's similar things. That's the law of attraction. Similar things, conscious vibrant. I fundamentally think the law of attraction is a fundamental law in physics. That's what I'm trying to get across. I really think I've found something new. That's something novel here. Law of attraction is a fundamental law in physics. I'm really looking at this from a spiritual practice from the perspective of a physicist. Another example is telephone telepathy, where you can call someone and they say, "Oh, I just have to call you," and they do that because you have an intention to bring someone in, but makes them vibrant resonance with you. So you have intention to bring someone in, putting your attention on them makes them put your attention on you, because them putting attention on you and you put attention on them vibrate similar frequencies, such that they resonate attracted to each other. Another example is blessed chocolate. Now this is described as these buddy smokers to bless this chocolate. So they got these buddy smokers to pray over this chocolate, to say whoever eats this chocolate will feel good. They put an intentional things into the chocolate. And there's a study where they got people to eat the chocolate compared with placebo, and the people that ate the blessed chocolate felt better, but their reported mood increases. And I explain that because they're vibrating in resonance with the intentional frequency. And that is the mechanism of prayer. Prayer works by non-physical means. You can literally impart your prayer into chocolate, and literally just eating the chocolate makes you feel better compared to a placebo. And this has been scientifically documented. It's quite interesting. But that's the mechanism of prayer. Okay, there's another example of dogs knowing when one's going on. This is another example of the telepathy. And telepathy happens because similar frequency consciousness, like the law of attraction, it happens by the law of attraction. Similar frequency consciousness vibrate in resonance, such a resonance attracts each other. The dog knows your intention to go home makes the dog vibrate in resonance with that intention. Because the dog knowing you're in your home and you want to come home vibrates similar frequencies, such a resonance attracts each other. Another example is mediumship and telepathy and mediumship and channeling. That's because beings from spirit can vibrate in resonance with you, and such you can interpret and channel their intentional frequency because you can vibrate in resonance with their intentional frequency. Another example is the sense of being stared at, which because the intention placed on someone makes them then put their attention on you because similar frequency conscious vibrate in resonance. Another example is that science. I didn't explain this in the PDF, but similar scientific discoveries happen at the same time. So the invention of the radio and the plane happened within like days of each other or weeks. So that's because your scientific. I think that's why science is much like it's a collaborative enterprise. Because even if you don't publish your work, just by putting that frequency into the collective consciousness, other people start vibrating in resonance with that intention. That's why similar scientific discoveries happen at the same time. Because similar frequency consciousness, it happens by the law of attraction. Now let's go into my second work. Here in this introduction, I just describe I go on to describe how something comes from vibrant resonance. I try and describe a materialistic resonance, how a piano string and a note and a tuning fork both vibrate similar frequencies such that they resonate across each other, and that's how I explain materialistic resonance. There's a lot more to materialistic resonance, but I think idealistic resonance is the true resonance, and materialistic resonance is a derivative of that. And here I flesh out how that story about the woman and the scarab. Here I talk about karma. Now, I didn't fully describe karma here properly. The law of karma is a fundamental law in physics. I think karma and sin should be part of ethics, because karma and sin. Karmic debt results from sin. Now, it's quite complicated, but let me just give me a second to think. And the intensity of the sin corresponds to the intensity of the karmic debt. Now, a karmic debt must be filled. It must be paid off by physics, I believe, because it leaves a energetic karmic imprint. So say you betrayed someone, you might. So I've been past lives and how we choose our lives for, but this is basically a show for ND reports. I might do a video on ND reports and just bring something together, because scientists do a lot of studies on ND reports and past lives, and how you choose your lives before you're born is very well documented in ND reports. So if you betray someone in your past lives, you might want to betray to balance that karmic debt. And there's positive, negative karmic debts. You can do so much good for someone that they are karmically indebted to you, such that they have to do good things to you afterwards. Karma is like a magnetic attraction of high and low frequencies. Karma is a mirror. Karma reflects back to you the truth of your actions, of your intentional frequencies. It's a mirror. It's not childish payback, but it's sin and karma are very important. Sin causes karmic debt. Karmic debt causes an energetic karmic imprint. Energetic karmic imprint has to be filled with payback. That's my fundamental law of physics. I'm going about art and reality, but I don't think it's that good. I'm not even going to go about it. It's just some crappy philosophy. Not really science. Here let's talk about chaos, order and entropy. Now, what I read down here is not exactly the sound of my intellect, but entropy deals with chaos, right? It's a measure of chaos. It's more than that, because you can say, in thermodynamics it's a lot more complicated than just a measure of chaos, but it is kind of a measure of chaos. But I take Jordan Peterson's idea of order and chaos and also Carl Frisson's idea of the free energy principle. It's quite complicated because I bear with Carl Frisson's free energy principle, but Here I say, chaos is when energy diverges from the ritual inhabit in such a with low frequencies of fear and disgust. It's half meaning emphasising the border of chaos and order, the border of the yin and yang. Entry then measures how the currents of energy are flowing with respect to the current ritual in place. So I think we live in rituals, because rituals are how we live. We can't live without a ritual. Even just not invading someone's personal space is a ritual. Even just shaking someone's hand. Even just the mere fact of me having a conversation with you and then I speak and then I stop and you speak, it's a ritual. Because if I'm speaking over you, find it would piss you off. And that would cause chaos. It's a small thing. But if I punch you in the face, that would really violate the ritual, and that would cause absolute chaos. If I stab you, it would cause even more chaos. So we really live by rituals, and chaos is when you diverge from the ritual, and order is when you say it sticks to the ritual. But there is a happy medium because you have to diverge from the ritual somehow. Otherwise, we just live. It's not even just boring. It's meaningless, and but on the board of chaos order beds, it's hard to explain. But I haven't fully figured it out. But I'll figure it out one day. I'm excited because I'm really excited with this. It's work I'm doing. Okay, the next one. Now here we talk about morphogenetic fields. These are fields of form. Now fields of form, I think, is how physics works. I think from all the way down from the subatomic to the universal scale. Now morphogenetic fields are fields of form. These fields of form are also fields of frequencies of consciousness. These fields of frequencies vibrate at high and low frequencies. High frequencies generate harmony and stuff like that, and low frequencies generate discord. Now I think we have morphogenetic fields of biology. I think DNA is very important to this, but I'll go into that later. Now morphogenetic fields can be engineered with electromagnetic frequencies in biology, as described by Michael Levin. Now Michael Levin does a lot of great work on bioelectricity and morphogenetic fields. You should really check his work out, it's really good. I might link it down below. I envision a morphological field theory of nature where form and nature are all entities described by the morphological fields of form, which are frequency of consciousness. And now here's some good stuff. This is stuff I'm working on recently.
Harmonics of
Modal harmonics experience. The modal harmonics experience and modal harmonics and the vibrating strings and string theory. Now I think string theory is, people are just looking at it through the wrong lens. I think the modal harmonics experience and modal harmonics and the vibrating strings. Now these can be open or closed strings. I don't really understand string theory, but I know that enough to interpret idealistic. I think it must be by the idealistic Fourier series, a unique discrete superposition of the modal harmonics experience create continuous unique frequency consciousness. So a superposition, the modal harmonics experience, so a superposition of the modal harmonics on a vibrating string, which is idealistic in nature, it's made of consciousness, create a unique frequency consciousness. Changing the superposition of the modal harmonics experience creates a change in frequency consciousness. This is how we engineer technology to transform one frequency consciousness to another. The philosopher's stone, technology potentially end with hunger and other major problems that civilization faces. I think the main aspect of idealistic technology is changing one frequency into another. I think that's very possible because you can change the superposition of the modal harmonics experience. I think you do that for electromagnetic frequencies and sound frequencies. I'm not completely sure on that, but I've not fully figured out how to engineer this technology, but I'm working on it. I'm doing a lot of work, I'm thinking a lot. Now cycles, it's quite interesting. A cycle is an oscillation of changing frequency of consciousness. An oscillation in the superposition of the modal harmonics experience is an oscillation of changing frequency of consciousness, which is a cycle. So an oscillation, the change frequency, imagine an oscillation of the superposition of the modal harmonics experience, these vibrating strings. That creates an oscillation in changing frequency of consciousness, and changing frequency of consciousness are cycles. The seasons are because this frequency of consciousness change, not over time, but in consciousness. Because I think time and space are figments of our imagination, space-time especially. I think we need to get out of the materialistic paradigm to the idealistic paradigm. Now cycles extend from the life cycles of stars to heartbeat, to the breath, to the water cycles, to the procession of the equinoxes, the seasons, and many other cycles. You engineer a cycle when you form a habit. Now I think that's quite, should give you a hint into what I think, because you can repeat habits. It's a ritual, but I think rituals are cycles, because you repeat them over and over again. Just like the seasons repeat, just like heartbeat repeat, just like the breath, the procession of the equinoxes, the yugas, and the astronomical ages. Yeah. Now, one more thing. No, I think I'm done for now. Well, thank you for watching, if you did. I appreciate it. And yeah, I'll do one more on biology. I'm doing work all the time, so I'm quite excited to keep carrying this work. I'm going to make more videos every day, and on consciousness, physics, religion, God. I'm very excited to start a YouTube channel, and I'm really excited to do this physics work. Alexi and Vixie, I want to meet you. I want to talk about you. I've watched all your videos, so I think we're on similar frequencies, so I'll have to discuss this with you if you want. Okay, thank you, bye bye.